Hey everybody, this is A.E. Doyle, and this is the Comprehensive Reading and Instruction Action Plan for this semester, spring 2015. Sorry I can't be there. Hope you enjoy the show. So we can see from our weekly schedule that all of the four areas of fluency, practice, and word work, and comprehension and refining reading are addressed in the weekly schedule. For instance, each day has some choral reading. 4 out of 5 days have group choral reading with the whole group, and some of the days, Thursday and Friday in particular, have differentiated fluency, which is a kind of choral reading. We have guided reading throughout the week. We've got working on Freyer model vocabulary notes, and we've got closure. We've got activities like card sorts with suffixes for word work, and we've got other activities like a card matching game for comprehension. Between them, over the course of the week, we are addressing all of the 4 areas of the reading instruction delivery model, especially for this content area. On this slide, we can see the way that things have been arranged for the reading instruction delivery model. With fluency, we've got a whole group choral reading, and differentiated fluency, which is a rap activity, is kind of fun, and a closure where students are reading about what they've written. We've got word work with a mini lesson on word endings and card sort with those word endings, and our vocabulary notebook with Freyer-style definitions. In refining reading, we have guided readings relating to the topic and writing about our reading. We've got independent reading with level book choices. And in comprehension, we've got a card matching game for vocabulary, video stop and jot, and students illustrate and share key terms. Also, we turn and talk when we have Team Jeopardy. Here we have a description of 3 of the activities that we do for fluency practice, having to do with whole class choral reading, differentiated fluency practice, and closure activity. Whole class choral reading has custom-made choral reading passages like this one with keywords in it, and we work on those 4 out of 5 days, and on the 5th day we are assessed according to this rubric right here about fluency and various sorts of prosody. For differentiated fluency practice, we've been using vocabulary. Vocabulary has raps that go along with our core content. And this one happens to be about the 3 branches of government, where we have differentiated fluency. The kids have assignments of various parts of the rap that kids have as few as just a few words to perform solo, or kids have several sentences with longer words in them to perform solo, depending on their reading ability. And there's also a component of it that is choral. We do all together. Ready? Here's an example
And there are so many different kinds of maps.
And also for word work, we've got students who are selected, not every student every day, a handful of students each day to speak fluently, we hope, about our activities and what they've learned. For word work, we have some mini lessons on word endings that benefit us when we're trying to use today's vocabulary. And the vocabulary for this week, for instance, the root word of produce and how it changes for producer or production. We use cards to assemble different words for different purposes for the same stem words, and we've got a collection of modified Freyer model definitions for your social studies folder. So we did some activities on word endings, for instance, to brainstorm a list of words that begin with that S-I-O-N, T-I-O-N sound, or the E-R sound. And here's an example of one of the pages that we use. Then particularly for our students who struggle more, we have a thing where we manipulate the cards and we put the words together so that they are the same stem word used together with other suffixes so that it makes sense in context. Now for our vocabulary notes here, we had a packet that we put together, and the students kept a list of their definitions and their examples and example sentences. And then when it came time to do illustrations, they split that work up some more. But these are also word work kinds of activities. For refining reading, we have a literature activity for guided reading. One that we are thinking about first is a story called Uncle Jed's Barbershop that has strong economics connections. We also do writing about making connections from the week's topics to a story or learning game. And we have an independent reading time in which kids can choose from supplementary reading passages and illustrate or write about them. The story that we used the most when we were doing economics was this Uncle Jed's Barbershop story, and it had many connections, and students answered questions about saving and choices and opportunity costs. When we were writing about our reading, we had an activity where we wrote economics news stories, and then we summarized some things that we learned out of our reading or out of a game that we were playing that made connections to the economics ideas we were trying to do that week. And we had a selection of books on various levels that kids could read independently and make economics connections from them too. For comprehension, we had various activities to build comprehension. We used a stop and jot organizer so that students had a way to focus their thinking when we got to something like a video that worked on ideas that we'd already read. And we had students to create illustrations to activate their visual learning about these concepts. Oh, Team Jeopardy! It required students to turn and talk to agree on answers. Here's a card matching game. For 5 targeted words, cards showed the term, a definition, an illustration, an example, and a non-example, and students would sort them out. This game targeted Tier 3 students particularly. Here's one with the word risk, which was a little bit hard for us to sort out. Video stop and jot will look familiar to people from this class, where I took this idea and immediately started using it with students so they could focus their attention when we had something like a video that related to reading that we had been doing. Students have done a lot of illustrating, making drawings to activate their visual learning, and we also show these things on the projector screen to help other students to make the same kind of visual connections. This one is one about the economics idea of saving up, and buying something later. And Team Jeopardy, the special favorite, students used something called Socrative, and they had a chance to be in a space race where they had to answer questions as a group. You can see up on the screen that the program is keeping track of them and who's answering the most questions right. You can see that the kids are focused together and they're getting a lot done. So, and in conclusion, the reading instruction delivery model has provided a lot of tools that have been really useful for us this year. And I think the kids have benefited, and just want to say thanks, everyone, for this great year.